Okay. So, for anyone listening to this, we have just literally minutes ago finished the M. Night Shyamalan film Old from this year. It's my second time watching it, Cameron's first time. We have not discussed what we thought of the movie. But I think, fuck it. I mean, it'll just be full spoilers. Who cares? No one's going to want, even the people who I recommend this to wouldn't want to see the movie because it's too... Anyone who listens to my podcast, it's not a very pleasant movie. Even if I explain them why I like this movie, it would be. But okay, just okay. What do you think of the movie? Just tell me.
I kind of liked it. I thought it was kind of.
Okay.
Were you expecting me to hate it?
No, I don't.
Or to love it?
No, I'm not trying. I should be judgmental. Okay.
Well, for me, I thought there was like basically everything on the beach. Maybe minus the last little bit, but basically everything on the beach was really excellent and kind of, definitely the best part of the movie.
Yeah.
But the trappings around it I found to be really awkward, and a lot of it was so weird. It was like someone else directed the other parts of the movie, and I know they didn't, but like the dialogue and the interactions between people were just like really strange,
especially the ending. I just, it's weird because I'm quite sure he has final cut. Like, I don't think it's people coming in, it's not like a Magnificent Ambersons type situation.
Well, I think he produced the movie, right?
Yeah, I think he like self-funds his movie.
Yeah.
I mean, he has Universal, but he has creative control, I'm pretty sure.
Right.
But watching it this time, I thought the amount I liked most of the movie and the amount I did not like the ending was more as a sharper contrast. I was like, yeah, this doesn't really work. And I think, but other than the ending, if it wasn't for the ending, if they just ended on the beach, I probably would have been my top 5 movies of the year. I thought it's just absolutely virtuosic for about 95% of the runtime. Even while I think there's some little dialogue can be a little awkward, and and as a result of that, some of the performances can seem kind of odd. But I don't know, even that, just the sort of weirdness of it is in some way, I don't know if it enhances the movie is too generous, but it kind of, I don't know, it kind of suits the weirdness of the movie. I can't really explain it.
It's a little bit like, I don't know. It's almost like he should have gone a little more stylized with like the way that they deliver things. Like if it was like a Yargos movie,
right, right,
where you'd maybe expect a little bit of awkwardness in the dialogue and awkwardness in the delivery. But the way that it's presented, and especially the stuff, I think once they get to the beach, all of that for me kind of fades away a bit, and there are actually some really interesting and good moments of dialogue, like when they're sitting, by the fire, sort of near the end. And so like there is good stuff there. For me, like the beginning portion was like really awkward. All of it was really awkward.
Yeah.
And not, I guess not in like a terrible way. It didn't necessarily distract for me, but I don't know. It made me feel like it was not a very serious movie, and some of the things that happen in it make me feel like it's not that serious of a movie. But then there are some moments where you're like, oh my goodness,
He brings in a character called like mid-sized sedan. You start to think like, is this just a joke? Like, is he just goofing on you? But for the most part, it's actually like a pretty sincere. And the one thing that I would have not liked him doing, the like a Lanthimos style dialogue, is that it would have taken away the sincerity of the movie, because what he's actually expressing about like the human condition and about growing old and about your body deteriorating, I find to be like really powerful and like some of the most moving stuff I've seen in any movie this year. And also just as a pure thriller, and that's the sense of anxiety and dread that's going through the movie, and his choreography of that action and that sort of thing on the beach. I mean, it's like peerless. I mean, there's really in terms of his abilities to stage characters. It's some of the best stuff I've seen outside of the work of Spielberg or Bong Joon-ho. The way he's moving those different people in the frame and the way it looks. The guy who shot this movie was the guy who shot Mike Choulakis. He shot Us, and he shot Under the Silver Lake and It Follows. Great newer cinematographer, and I think this is Knight's first movie that's shot on film in a long time. And I think it just looks phenomenal. And the stuff at night too also is incredible. I don't know. I just dig this movie. I don't know what to say. I mean,
did you like it better going into it this time, or coming away from it this time?
I think I almost had pretty identical opinions. I think on one hand, I think I appreciate it more this time because I was like, wow, not only you kind of know what's going to happen going in. I mean, going in, just it's the beach where people get old. Like, how much can he really do it within that premise? And it's kind of impressive that it's compelling. It doesn't just kind of hold in place. And then having seen it already, I was kind of amazed how I was still like really like caught up in the movie. I will say it probably emotionally moved me a little bit more the first time. I'm pretty sure I saw this movie maybe weeks after my grandfather died, so there's definitely a little bit of a extra textual thing. In some ways I don't like to bring that up because it like delegitimizes my take on the movie, and I think the movie actually, like, even if there hadn't been some stuff on your mind about mortality, I think the movie still has an examination of that, and it also is like this sort of microcosm of like the different ways people react to it. All these there's a huge sort of like extended metaphor going on in the movie, and that I think is really I don't know. It's thought provoking is maybe too kind to say, but it's definitely affecting. It definitely like gets to me in some kind of existential way.
Yeah, and I like the like what you said. The element of having them all sort of react in different ways, and then the added element of when people get old, there's not really a sure sign of like what's going to happen to them necessarily. So that's another sort of ticking pressure on everybody. And then at the same time, it's kind of like, I don't know if you've ever been to an escape room, but it kind of gives me those feelings,
Sure.
Except they don't escape.
Yeah, it's like hopeless. Yeah, and I think also just the fact of that it ends, with them escaping, also is part of what sort of deflates the movie a little bit. Because,
100%.
That it sort of kills the metaphor of like what's going on in the thing. Part of it I think is like really powerful in the movie is the way they sort of accept what happens to them. It's the parents do.
Yeah, that
part of it is like, I think that was the thing probably that surprised me the most in this movie, because you sort of went into it expecting to be it's going to be a lot of like gags about getting old and a lot of like just kind of like creepiness, but you didn't expect it to be as much about acceptance of getting old. At least that's not what I was expecting.
And like sort of like the forgiveness of past mistakes and the understanding of how people change. I don't know. It's also funny. Obviously, there's plenty of the movie is about aging as an adult, but also most of the movie, I would say, or the first sort of third of the movie is about aging as a young person into an adult. And that I thought was interesting because, everybody's very panicked about it, which I think is true in real life too, Sure. And everybody has a sense of like shock when they realize that their kid has grown up, and so like that feeling is definitely evoked in the movie very well.
Yeah, it's actually very pretty one of the more emotional parts of the movie, where she sees her kids and doesn't recognize who they are. That's like actually pretty powerful. So it actually sounds like you kind of like the movie. I
did.
It's like in broad strokes, and if you get into the specific, it's like you have to just like ignore certain things, and then it's a masterpiece.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what was frustrating for me, I guess, was I really enjoyed. I think I enjoyed mostly the drama, there's a feeling of like whodunitness almost, or like you know,
mystery,
like what's going on, and I enjoy all those aspects. I don't know if the and you know, like I said, basically everything on the beach I really enjoyed.
Wow, that's most of the movie though.
I thought the end was pretty stupid, and I guess like I don't know if it matters necessarily, but like I think you're right. I think it kind of cheapens certain things, and the ending where they're swimming through the coral and she gets caught is like the most stupid thing in the world.
It doesn't really work. I think, I mean, yeah, the ending, like it also like it whiffs it twice, because I think having them leave the beach is kind of a mistake, and because I don't think it really. You know, I know he likes his twists, and he likes to, it's really a science experiment or whatever. It's like, that's not really important, really. I wonder if that's even in the book, because this is based on some short story or something. And I just don't, it seems so unrelated, and it's so unimportant, in terms of what the movie is. And it kind of deflates what's, the focus of the movie, which is just again, the acceptance of aging and that sort of thing. So that's a mistake. And then even within that, I was like, okay, you could have ended it maybe with just the kid recognizing them, and that would have been like a okay ending. And then he has to explain they made it through the coral. I'm like, what? We know they made it. Like, you don't need to show that again. and then have them on the helicopter, which again is also
a stupid scene.
Is just unnecessary. And this is the sort of thing where I'm like, it feels like a studio, like it's the end. Having them end with them dying on the beach is too miserable. Let's have a happy ending, but I don't think that's the case, because he has final cut. So I don't know what that's about.
I mean, let's just think about it a little bit. Obviously, you can't have it just end with them dying. Like,
why not?
Well, no. I just mean like from a story structure perspective, that would just be like, you'd come away being like, oh wow, okay.
Yeah, exactly. That would have been awesome.
But if you have to have one last beat. One beat of finality,
Yeah.
One dramatic, resolution in some ways.
It should have been they try to escape one last time and then they don't, or something. Like, it should have been really depressing, or it should have not. Like, don't end with them literally dying. But I don't know. I just think like the whole thing is like, and in some ways, the thing that's most powerful about this movie is like most horror movies. You go, oh my god. Wouldn't that be horrible if that happened? And this is like the one where you go, oh no, that would be horrible. Oh wait, it does.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like having this like sort of cheat code is, I don't know. I just not
gotta
crazy.
Escape through the coral.
Yeah, it's like, no, you can't do that, and it doesn't even really make sense. That like if you could, maybe if you found some way to like evoke like a sense of like a religious person's idea of like afterlife or something like that, which he has done. I mean, he's made great movies about faith, in particular Signs, which is, have you seen Signs?
No.
Incredible movie, but I don't think he does that here. I think it just is sort of like kind of a fake happy ending. I don't know. I mean, again, I still think it's one of my favorite movies of the year, but
it feels very like this is what the script should do. It feels very much like oh well, how do they get out? I don't know. He finds a note and
it does feel studio mandated. I'm not
totally. Yeah, no, I think you're right. Yeah, but I don't know if it was.
No, I don't think it can't be, because he's. I'm pretty sure his creative control. I mean. I was looking up while I was in the bathroom, and it sounds like there were some changes going on, because there are people who said they watched it originally and it was different, the ending. So I would wonder what that is. I don't imagine he would make a movie that just ends with them dying on the beach, because I think just for him, he's just too sunny. Have you ever seen M. Night? He's a really sunny, kind of likable guy. I just think that'd be too dour for his sensibilities, but.
Yeah, I think you would have to change a couple things to make it them dying on the beach. But I kind of agree with you. I think there could be a sort of religious angle in a certain way that could be interesting. But I don't know. Oh, I think for me, I don't like when the bones jangle in the in the cotton thing.
Why?
Because it's funny sounding. I don't know.
It's funny.
It just sounds like a cartoon.
Wow, that's pretty mean-spirited of you, Cameron. Okay.
I'm just trying to go through the things that I didn't like. I didn't think. I'm gonna mess up everybody's names, but the daughter character, the middle daughter character, I didn't think her performance was that good.
You mean the girl from Jojo Rabbit?
Yeah. Which she's good in other things.
She's pretty good in Last Night in Soho.
Yeah, but I didn't think she was very good in this, and I think actually the editing kind of showed you that too, because most of her dialogue is like way far away so that they can like overdub it.
Really? No.
Yeah.
No
one
sounds
definitely.
like her. I don't know if that's. I don't.
No. I'm sure she overdubbed her lines, but like, I don't know. It just was.
I'm sure a lot of the dialogue is overdubbed because they're playing it out in these like huge shots.
I think most of the dialogue is, or if not all of the dialogue is.
Did you think Wolf was good? Wolf, the son.
Yeah, I thought he was good.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought his performance was one of the best.
I'm kind of of the opinion that all the kids are kind of a little bit iffy, and I kind of think that's just because it's sort of a confusing thing to play because they're sort of playing children, but he's trying to give them a progression of them getting older, so they're kind of stuck in this weird. I don't know. I'm not going to stand behind them as great, but the performances, those don't really bother me.
I thought the end two were not very good. I didn't like them at all. I didn't even think they felt like the younger or the middle version. They just were very different for me.
Wait.
Different performances.
Wait. Oh, when you're talking the middle daughter, Wait. There's no middle daughter. What are you talking about?
No. I'm sorry. In the time periods, there's like 3 different.
Okay.
Actors.
Okay, you do mean Thomas and Mackenzie.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I see. Yeah, there's 4 sons, but there's 3 daughters. That's right.
But are there 4 sons? Oh yes,
Yeah.
there are.
There's
for like a brief,
11-year-old,
hot sec.
Yeah.
And then the blonde one, who I like in other things as well.
She's in Little Women.
But what's her name?
Wait.
Wait,
Who are you talking about? The blonde daughter?
Yeah,
Eliza
the blonde.
Scanlon?
Is that her name?
I think so. I think it's Eliza Scanlon she's one of the girls in Little Women, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Anyways, I don't know any of the names, but yeah, she was whatever.
A lot of the performances in the movie, I don't know. Something that actually may have helped the movie, and it's something I've thought about so much is there's a clip going around where they the kids have gotten older, and the couple is trying to guess their ages, and there are people who are going like, "Oh my God, this is terrible writing, acting's terrible," and then someone like retweeted all these critiques of it, and they're saying like, "Guy who watches The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari and goes, that's not what houses are supposed to look like." Like, and I don't even know if I totally can buy that defense of M. Night's movies that like, oh, it's intentional that the characters sound like that, because I think it's kind of it is and it isn't. I think he definitely knows he's funny, and he knows that like he's doing things that are, as Joaquin Phoenix, wearing a tinfoil hat and like running around like a goofball in science. He knows it's funny, but he's also very like dead serious, and his movies are all. I find many of his movies to be actually quite moving, including this one. So I don't know, but in a way, it was like I was so caught up in just the moment to moment, just like experience of the movie. It's like I wasn't even thinking about performances. I only think I think about the performances at the end because like I'm not digging that part of the movie as much. But for we can kind of couch that to the side because it's like you can almost like forget about it. Because I don't. And I do think that the parents are wonderful in the movie. Particularly, I think Vicky Creeps, the way she is playing oldness and the way she's like kind of like and both and Bernal too, but for whatever reason her in particular, like I don't know, reminded me of my grandmother or something, and you see people who playing old and it's easy to overdo it, or did it just seem like the same person, just a bunch of makeup? But it's like they really changed their demeanors, in a way that was like very moving. I like Rufus Sewell, who just becomes more of a racist and more of an asshole as he deteriorates.
I like his character arc, although to be very clear, they got the dangerousness of Rust pretty wrong. I don't really understand what's going on there.
Oh, really?
But Rust.
I don't know the science of Rust.
Rust. So the thing that she's talking about that is poison in the blood is tetanus, right?
Okay.
Tetanus comes from, you could get tetanus from anything.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be rust.
Uh-huh.
And in fact, it's not even really that particularly common to get rust from, or like tetanus from a rusty thing.
Okay, sins. I mean,
but I'm just saying, it was pretty gruesome when he died, but
it was great. I also liked how he turned into Udo Kier when he died. He looked exactly like Udo Kier. But yeah, I don't
can we talk about the Bones lady?
Oh, that was great. Yeah, she's more upset because she's uglier and she gets older, and
I think her character is really excellent. And
I mean, yeah, sure.
And is I think she's an interestingly written character. I guess kind of one-dimensional, but all things considered.
I don't know. I mean, it's like everyone in the movie is pretty archetypal. Like if you took even just the drama of the main couple, it's pretty like straightforward. It's all in his direction that elevates the movie. I think the script of the movie is like average or like pretty good at best.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's just doing things, with the camera that I'm like just amazed. There's one shot where he's like around the kids, and it's just he's like zooming in and out, and they're freezing, and it's also the atmosphere, it's the sound too, like the music, and there's one shot. I think it's the shot where the girl is giving birth, which I don't know why that. I don't know. I guess just because it's a little child giving birth. It's like very upsetting and very disturbing moment. And he just is like moving. It's like he does like 12 different things in one shot, where he's like moving the camera forward. One character's doing this, and Abby Lee's running away, and another character's hugging someone, and then he like it stops when she gives birth and like pulls all the way. I mean, it's like probably not just the shot of the film, maybe the shot of the year. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And there's so much great, I just love where the kids they're playing with the little Barbie dolls in the sand, and he's got those like diopters where it's the parents. And, again, it's kind of obvious because it's like, oh, the kids are fighting and they're doing impressions of the parents. But I don't know. I think it's great filmmaking. And then that cross-cut scene where Rufus Sewell is like slicing them, and then she cuts him with the rust.
Yeah.
It's unscientific, according to you. And then Abby Lee's getting like
mangled by her.
Broken. That's like very really gnarly sequence. That's pretty horrifying.
I was kind of shocked at how graphic that was, because that was like something out of like a body horror movie or something.
Yeah,
it's very disturbing, though it is kind of funny at the same time. It's a little funny.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff in this that I can see. Like, I can see why people gave it a bad rating, because if you're going in expecting like, oh, it's gonna be bad, it's an M. Night Shyamalan movie, you could just watch the whole thing from an ironic distance and see like Alex Wolff, when he starts like crying, there's something about it that is almost like. And also he cries in a very childlike way in this movie, literally because he's a child. But he does that in Hereditary too. And I remember some people thought that was funny, and I think it's kind of affecting. But it also is like a little bit almost funny. And I think if I was more ironic and just watch movies as a joke, I would just I think Isaac would probably just think it's funny because he has no humanity. But what am I trying to say here? I don't know.
Overall, it's pretty good. I probably feel similar to how I felt about Cry Macho.
Cry Macho. I mean, I feel similar to Cry Macho in that they're both movies that are, they're flawed, but I like them.
Yeah.
But But Cry Macho is not really like it's not really that good. I just sort of enjoy
It's not. No.
I enjoy the hang. But this movie I think is genuinely virtuosic, and I think and quite poignant as an examination of the human condition, if I may, use such elevated terms. Yeah, I think it's. I don't know. It's I don't know. This movie has like 5.8 IMDb score. It got, I didn't look it up, probably in the 40s or 50s on Rotten Tomatoes. And that really just like pisses me off, man, because I like, it's one thing. I mean, I feel like you're being pretty honest about it being flawed, but you can tell it's a good movie,
Yeah,
I feel like
it has very good elements. There are things that I really enjoyed about it.
Okay.
That seems politicianly of me, but
it's fair. I mean, you're entitled to your opinion. I just think with critics, the thing that's bothering me is the fact it's less the getting the mid-league score. It's just the fact that like Shang-Chi or whatever, or Black Widow is like in the 70s or 80s.
Yeah,
and there's so much like absolute garbage. Like Suicide Squad, 90%. Horrible movie, awful movie. Probably if it wasn't for Eternals, probably the worst movie of the year. But and then this comes along, and I just think that's the other thing I'd compare it to Cry Macho is it's an interesting movie made by a singular artistic voice rather than a committee.
Yeah,
no one would dream up something like this weird or idiosyncratic or has dialogue that's like this, other than M. Night Shyamalan. I mean, I think he's gotten a bad rap in a lot of those first 4 movies. People are acting like, oh, each one's getting worse, and it's like, have you seen The Village? Like, it's kind of incredible. I mean, it's maybe not incredible, but it's really good. And even his horrible, other than The Last Airbender, which I think is just an empty, worthless film. All of his films have something in it that I find interesting or beautiful or moving or I don't know, just well crafted. And even Lady in the Water is like so embarrassing, so embarrassing. But then by the end, I'm like, holy shit, that was pretty cool, I don't know.
You're the number one M. Night fan of all time.
I don't know. A lot of people like it. I found there's a sort of a subculture. It's sort of like Clint, where like if you ask a regular person, you go like, oh yeah, M. Night, he's past his prime. He hasn't really done anything of value. But there's a lot of people who seem to feel the same way, I think.
Well, I feel like a lot of people consider him to be like a one-hit wonder in some sense,
They're wrong.
Especially people, I think people who are older than us and who are like tracking those movies, because the public perception of all those movies is that like they kind of just got worse and worse.
Exactly. Absolutely. And Mick once said that about. Yeah, he's like, M. Night. Oh, he was saying about Paul Thomas Anderson, which actually could be a nice transition to our next topic. Paul Thomas Anderson and M. Night Shyamalan. Or Paul Thomas Anderson is the art house M. Night Shyamalan, with one great movie and then everything else disappointing.
I disagree with that.
As Paul Thomas Anderson, that's like insane. I think Mick should question his mental state with saying things like that. But even M. Night, I think his first 2 movies, I don't know. His first one's like a student film I've never seen, and then he makes this movie called Wide Awake, which is kind of almost like a Christian movie, kind of like a goofy kids movie. It's utterly baffling. It has probably the worst twist I've ever seen. Maybe not just in his movies, but just like in any movie. Like I couldn't believe what I was watching. It's deeply embarrassing, but like, again, I was like, there are parts that I like. There's parts where I was moved by it. And then those 4, his real breakout is Sixth Sense. Most people think that is his first movie. Yeah. And those movies after that, have you seen Sixth Sense?
Yeah.
And Unbreakable?
Those are the 2 that I've seen.
Yeah. Like those are, even people were acting like Unbreakable, like, oh, it's a letdown after Sixth Sense. I think it's...
No, I love...
It might even be better than the Sixth Sense.
I liked it better, but I think at the time... The Sixth Sense was like, it was like, oh my goodness, like
Yeah, it was a phenomenon.
It was mind blowing in a lot of ways. In a similar way that something like The Usual Suspects is, or like where it's like
Memento.
Where it's like there's something that is like the breaking the mug on the floor, in slow motion about it.
I mean, it's a great.
But for me, when I saw it, I mean, I knew what was going to happen. So I appreciated the craft of it, and I think it's still a very good movie. But I actually liked Unbreakable better.
I think I do too.
Just specifically for the reason that I thought, as like it was as a precursor to sort of those types of superhero movies in a lot of ways. It was very like. I think it was very ahead of its time and very much about the human experience and not really about the hero experience. And I
Willis
love that
is unbelievably good in that movie.
Yes.
Do you think that movie
could be his best performance?
I kind of think it is. I would say it is. I think the moment at the end where he looks at his son and says like "you're right" or whatever he says to him is like his best moment on screen.
Yeah.
But I will say though, do you think the ending of that movie is not super great? Because the one thing, it's like this movie, I kind of have the same problem, which is I'm not crazy about the.
I watched it in high school, so I don't really remember the ending that well. But I guess that could be the reason.
And I think also in those early movies, they don't have the kind of weird, like, unnatural quality that the later M. Night movies have, where it's like mundane dialogue. It just sounds a little bit off.
I think Unbreakable has pretty realistic dialogue.
Yeah,
especially
Sixth Sense too. Yeah.
I love that sequence in the stadium is really good, and then with his kid, where his kid is pointing the gun at him.
Oh,
it's
my
just
God.
like
That's
an incredible sequence.
Yeah.
And it never feels off. It feels very, very in the pocket. As far as the writing goes and the performances.
But I think he's held up. And I think Signs is my favorite of his movies. I don't know if it's another one you could watch from a certain distance and say this is utterly ridiculous. But I think it's like, I don't know. In some ways, it's like the best like Christian movie I've seen, if you could call it that, sort of. And it's a great sci-fi movie. It's definitely the best like Spielberg imitation. Like he basically did like better what like J.J. Abrams has been spending his entire career trying to do, which is like he gets like the feeling. Really. Abrams came pretty close, I think, with Super 8, but I thought the like fable-like quality and just the kind of like sense of wonder in that movie is unbelievable. And Mel Gibson, amazing in that movie. So I like The Village a lot. I love the music in The Village. Let's see, I'm like going through. I watched all his movies. I'm just like thinking through now. Yeah, I don't know why. Lady in the Water. I wanted to watch Lady in the Water with you because I think we should do a whole podcast on it because it's so. I find it to be so laughable, and then like so great in other places. The Happening is kind of Happening. I don't know why people thought it was so bad. It's kind of just like an okay, again, kind of a Spielberg-y type movie. Again, with like a horrible ending that just like a nothing. You're like, what?
Well, I think maybe that is kind of why people come away from his movies with a bad taste in their mouth. Because, I mean, at least for me, this movie is like, unfortunately, the last bit is kind of the thing that you're left with. Mm-hmm. And so the thing that you're left with also colors the rest of the movie for you, where you feel like, ugh, that was weird. Like, and in the end, where you were wrapped up in the story, as it was going, and you were kind of, feeling the intensity and the drama around the story. But once you get to the end, you're like, oh, well, that was shit.
That's probably it was probably why that's why people gave it such low ratings. I almost think that's, even if it would have been kind of anticlimactic to end it just on the beach, it would have been, at least it would have left you with that feeling of because the feeling you have when you're watching Vicky Creeps die. And all
What if
that
they
stuff.
left it where this could be? I feel like this could just be the best alternate ending of it.
Okay.
What if they left it where he asks, "Do you think we should get out, or do you think we should try to get out?" And then she's like, "Yeah, we should, but let's build a sandcastle first." And then it does like a zoom like out, and they're just building a sandcastle.
I kind of thought that's what it was going to be.
That could have been cool.
Yeah. I don't know. That's more true to life, I guess. I don't know, like who, whatever. I mean, there's a reason I'm not making movies, but like, it would have been all right.
Zooms out, and then but they do set up the horrible twist. Twist. It's not really a twist, but they do set it up throughout the movie.
The reveal of the.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's like, but it's fine. Like, okay, everyone they're being tested. It's not really important why. It's important they're getting old. It's like, just leave it at that. Yeah, I don't know. His impulses are just kind of all over the place, even while. You didn't see Split or Glass, right?
No, I didn't.
I thought Split was great. Like, Split's just sort of like another kind of pure thriller. With some interesting ideas in it as well, and obviously great like McAvoy performance, but Glass is I need to look at that again because there are parts again. It's like that movie was like so boring for parts of it. Like half of it was. It started out you're like, this is great. This is like the Unbreakable sequel. Like you would want to see. Like okay. Basically him being like a crime fighter, working with his son as a crime fighter. You're like, holy shit, this is awesome. And then there's just a whole like dead sequence where they're in like an asylum. But again, the whole finale of that movie I thought was kind of brilliant. Well, I say again, actually, it's kind of the opposite of Old, I guess, because the finale is brilliant. And I remember I had like tears in my eyes when it ended, but I was like, well, that's sort of a weird schizophrenic kind of experience. Like I don't know what to make of that exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder about your affinity for his
My
movies
affinity?
Because
they think there's something wrong with me.
No, I'm just saying I think they hit you in a certain way. And like you're on the same wavelength with him.
Yeah. Well, I think I like for one thing, I just like the craft of it. I love what he's been doing with this DP in these last 3 movies. So that's one thing. He definitely makes a type of movie I like, kind of Spielbergy, kind of sci-fi horror thriller, and always like very sincere and emotional, which definitely is for me effective. I don't know. I just think he's good. I just think people who don't like him just are, they're just wrong. Like so many people,
Just haters.
Yeah, they're just haters.
Speaking of wrong people, we should talk about
wrong people.
We should talk about Licorice Pizza.